Some wild details have come out about Dennis Schroder and his departure from the Toronto Raptors because probably one of the most shocking trades yesterday was seeing two guys who have been in the Toronto Raptors rotation definitely over the past month. Schroder, who was the starter for this team at the beginning of the season, being dealt away for literally the right to waive Spencer Dinwiddie. So we're going to break down some deals that led to that trade actually happening for the Toronto Raptors, as well as a report that came out from Adrian Wojnarowski that provided more insight into the Toronto Raptors' plans for Bruce Brown and what we can expect for him in the future, with this Toronto Raptors team. So lots of stuff to sink our teeth into today, but before we do that, folks, again, over 56% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, and we want to keep you up to date with everything regarding this Toronto Raptors team. And now with the trade deadline passed, there's going to be a lot of things to dive into and to look for the second half of this season, because it's really going to be telling for the future of this Toronto Raptors organization, how these players play together, who we bring in the buyout market, and everything like that. So, mean the world to me if you guys could hit that subscribe button. But let's dive into the first topic of discussion. The first thing we're taking a look at is wild details revealed on the Dennis Schroder trade. Now, Dennis Schroder is a guy that, again, surprised a lot of Toronto Raptors fans probably this season, being a last-minute option, after Fred VanVleet. Maybe not surprisingly to Toronto Raptors fans, but it feels like took the front office off guard when he left the Toronto Raptors in the offseason, and quickly the Raptors pivoted and brought in Dennis Schroder to be the starting point guard for this team. Now, as the season got along and the Raptors lost a few games, the team didn't live up to expectations. Dennis Schroder didn't keep that starting job. He was moved to the bench, and then a couple days after he was moved to the bench, Emmanuel quickly, he ended up coming into being the starting point guard for this Toronto Raptors future, and apparently Dennis Schroder wasn't too happy with all that. Basically, news has come out that Dennis Schroder wasn't thrilled about coming off the bench for a rebuilding team. Schroder wasn't exactly thrilled with being relegated to the bench on a rebuilding team after coming to the Toronto Raptors in the offseason with high hopes of starting and leading a playoff team. So that was the pitch Masai Ujiri sent to Dennis Schroder, sent to him, and frankly, he didn't lie. That was the goal. That was the approach. That's the direction the Toronto Raptors took this offseason. They re-signed Jakob Poeltl. They brought him in at the center spot. They figured that this team with Pascal Siakam, with OG Anunoby, and then a Dennis Schroder stepping in, could make a playoff run. They thought that was the case. The team looked better at the end of last season with an actual center. So I believe that Masai Ujiri genuinely thought that, and that's probably why Dennis Schroder came in and signed a pretty friendly contract to be with the Toronto Raptors. So when things didn't work out and he ended up getting moved to the bench, which again was a smart play when things weren't working out for this Toronto Raptors group, then things are falling apart. So you get why Dennis Schroder was kind of frustrated. You can get where he's coming from along those lines. And again, he was having a solid year. Nothing too crazy. Nothing comparable to his best seasons with the Oklahoma City Thunder and LA Lakers. 14 points. I guess comparable, but nothing too outstanding. But 14 points, 6 assists. A solid season for Dennis Schroder with the Toronto Raptors. But again, we weren't winning games. He wasn't going to be the PG of the future. He was a little bit older. The Raptors, it made sense to sort of deal him away if he was frustrated. And the fact that we have so many guards on this Toronto Raptors team here now at this point, right? A lot of them need minutes in order to develop. I mean, we were seeing games in the past week or so where, Jordan Nwora would go nuclear when he'd actually get on the court, but then he's getting coach's decision DNPs because leading into the trade deadline, we had Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Bruce Brown, Dennis Schroder, Grady Dick, Jordan Nwora, all guys, and then don't forget about, Freeman Liberty coming off the bench, potentially Marquise Noel's potential sort of guards that could get some run on the Raptors in the future. Kira Lewis Jr. was also a guy we acquired via trade in that Pascal Siakam deal that some speculated might be able to get some run. And then also Scotty Barnes, naturally wanting to play the point guard position. We were low. And Gary Trent Jr., goodness gracious, another guard on this team. I mean, the Raptors still, to this point, not dealing away Bruce Brown, we have a lot of point guards, shooting guards that are going to need some run in order to develop, particularly, obviously, IQ and RJ Barrett. We want them to get reps in as the real future backcourt for this team. Gary Trent Jr. is only 25. We'll see how his future sort of entails, as Bobby Webster sort of revealed. His future with the Toronto Raptors is to be determined right now. Grady Dick seems like an integral piece to this future team. We have Nwora, who's surprised a lot of people coming in from that Pacers package. I mean, we have some guys that need some minutes. So Schroder getting dealt away, especially if he's frustrated, especially if he's not happy with his role. And again, he seemed like an actual leader for this team, but he has had some locker room issues in the past. It didn't seem like that was the case with the Toronto Raptors. Seemed to be buying in. Liked head coach Darko Rajokovic. Didn't seem to be like a locker room cancer or anything like that, but smart to sort of deal away a guy that is frustrated with his role, give him an opportunity to play somewhere else, even though the Brooklyn Nets, I guess they are trying to compete, are trying to improve, and then maybe, have an opportunity for him to start down there and see how things shake out for the Brooklyn Nets. But indicates to me the Toronto Raptors are going in that younger direction, even though they brought in Kelly Olynyk, and now we have Obagi as well, right? We deal away Schroder, probably pushing that tank. Not overtly losing, but pushing for that top 6 pick. So we'll see how things sort of shake out there. But I'm thankful for Dennis Schroder for coming in. Gave it his best go. Always brought the effort. Always brought the energy. Hoping he gets picked up and finds an opportunity on an actual team or finds the role he's looking for. But next thing we're taking a look at is Woj report on the Raptors' plans for Bruce Brown. Now, probably the most surprising fact of the trade deadline is that a guy that, in Bruce Brown, who is rumored to be dealt away pretty well, almost guaranteed heading into the trade deadline, didn't end up getting dealt, even though we were told that teams were offering firsts and things along those lines. But Adrian Wojnarowski dropped a little bomb post, trade deadline, revealing the Toronto Raptors' plans for Bruce Brown and seeing what's going on. So basically, he came out on his sort of post-trade deadline show and gave a deep dive in terms of what was happening with Bruce Brown and his future. And the first thing is that the Toronto Raptors just weren't receiving the offers that they were hoping for Bruce Brown for a multitude of reasons. One, they couldn't package players alongside Bruce Brown in any of these deals, given the fact he was just acquired from the Indiana Pacers. So there were a lot of restrictions in terms of what the Raptors could how they could actually facilitate one of these trades. Made the cap situations a lot trickier because, again, if you make a trade and you attach players, they have to be 2 separate trades. So it's that's what they had to do for the Utah Jazz deal, but that makes things a lot harder to navigate. You want things that are kind of simple, easy to sort of send one player this way, send one player back that way. Now, when the NBA draft comes around, the Raptors be eligible to trade Bruce Brown's contract if they pick up his option or his, figure out things with his future situation. That's also something Woj revealed sort of in this presser, that the Raptors have a lot of optionality now with his sort of team option. That's $20 million plus for next season. They can either pick that up, keep him on this team, they think about retooling, or as Woj sort of predicted, and this is sort of the big quote that's been taken away, he fully expects Bruce Brown to be traded at the NBA draft, because then, teams, more options to potentially deal him away in terms of no restrictions in terms of the 60-day sort of, I don't know what to call that, impasse for you to not be able to trade him. And then also teams are sort of go through the playoff runs, know what they kind of want leading into the off season. Draft selections are also there. Who in the draft is available and things along those lines. And the Raptors weren't that interested in bringing back another 2024 piece, just another random 2024 draft pick. So if, and again, those draft picks become a lot less valuable when they're actually selected. So maybe you could finesse your guy. If someone's selected, you could trade Bruce Brown to that team and end up acquiring him. There's a lot of interesting pathways to go with Bruce Brown. So Woj said there's a lot of optionalities. It's going to be a big market for Bruce Brown, probably more so in the offseason. So that's the Toronto Raptors' plan, to probably deal him away during this summer. So, the Raptors had a crazy trade season, even if it didn't work out perfectly on trade deadline day, as some Raptors fans wanted the entire team to be nuked and traded and broken down, but that wasn't the case. But the Raptors, it seems like they're pursuing the tank for 2024. We'll be covering all the games. We'll be covering it all. So on the Raptors side, just subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, you guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.